Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have an awesome guest, casting director, Jeremy Gordon. He has cast so many shows, Cloak and Dagger. Right now, Russ Creek is getting a whole lot of attention on Netflix, so go check it out. So many shows on television, bachelor degree from Syracuse University, master's in education from Pepperdine. Please help me welcome the one, the only, Jeremy Gordon. Pop. Come on on.
Oh,
Yay.
hi. Hi, everyone.
Hello. And I'm so happy you're here. And it's Monday before Christmas. And thank you for coming on board and being of service to the world who wants to hear your story, what you're giving back to actors. And I'm so grateful to hang out with you.
Yeah,
Hi.
it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. It should be a good
My
time.
pleasure. I'm so happy you're here. So,
Yep.
casting director, life of a casting director, but as I said, you got your master's in education. So what was that turning point that brought you into casting? And then let's talk about your casting life.
Sure. I went to college. I went to Syracuse to study acting.
Mm.
I had a minor in psychology. Um, but then I came to LA back in the 90s and I went on 3 auditions and decided, yeah, I absolutely do not want to be an actor. So what else am I going to do? Everyone in my family are teachers. So
But did you get so much rejection after your 3 auditions that you couldn't get
apparently it was too much for me to handle.
but
So I got
maybe
a master's in education and I was a teacher for 7 years. I taught first grade, I taught seventh grade,
wow.
and right place, right time, literally right place, right time. Somebody offered me a job as a casting director. A friend of mine said, "You used to be an actor. You'd be a great casting director." I said, "I
Wow.
don't know what that means or what to do, and I have to teach history, but I'll call you later." And I did for 2 years. I did both jobs.
Wow.
I started doing non-union, very low budget, cheesy horror films.
You know what though? You know what? Non-union union work begets work. And you know what?
Totally.
It's all about practice that makes you better as an artist. So yes.
Oh, it was a great place for me to get my feet wet and to learn what I was doing. Before I had to deal with CIA, I was dealing with these non-union films. It was great. I had a great time. Just literally pushed me out the door and said, "Be a casting director." I also produced all those films, so I didn't know how to produce either. And they were like, "Oh,
Wow.
you can produce as well. Here's a walkie-talkie. Go on set, introduce yourself as a producer. You'll be great."
That's hilarious. I had no idea. So you just basically got thrown into it
Yeah.
and you loved it
And I
automatically.
loved it. So after 2 years doing both, I stopped teaching and
Yeah.
I worked full time as a casting director, associate producer, jumping all over the place.
What is it about that you loved? So as when you started as an actor, you knew right away your body, it didn't feel right in your bones, so you had to
Yeah.
move forward and do something else. But what was it about casting that made you feel whole and purposeful?
Well, I love the process. I like the acting. I like all of that. I just don't want to be the actor. So all of those good feelings, especially theater. I was trained theater. To
Okay.
have all of those feelings and know that you're helping people get jobs to do that thing that they feel so
Yeah.
deeply about was so great. And I could use all that I learned to be an actor as a casting director. I can speak to actors in their language and I know what they're feeling and I get it. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That piece of the puzzle, putting that together. I just love it. I think it is such a magical part of the process and I get to be behind the camera.
It is
To
it is a
understand it.
magical part of the process and it is a crucial mandatory part of the process. I do feel like casting directors don't get the praise that they deserve at all the award shows. I think they get thrown to the side.
Yeah.
And without you, there is nothing. It's all teamwork. Like I always say, we need the writers, we need the executive
Yes.
producers, we need the actors, but we need the casting director to help. And so kudos.
Well,
So
thank you. I do appreciate that.
yeah, well,
Awards and residuals would be great.
oh, right. So casting directors don't get residuals, only actors do.
No, and even for me, I'm not top of the casting food chain, but even for me, at any given time, there are, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 projects on TV of that I've cast that I could be making residuals on.
Well,
So it
listen,
stings a bit.
is somebody dealing with this? This is an interesting conversation. Is somebody bringing this to the table?
I don't know if it's top of the list. I know that everyone wants Oscar awards, which would be
Ah,
great. I would
Yeah.
rather have some residuals, but I'll take
Yeah.
it after.
Wow. Interesting. I
Yeah.
kind of like the residual idea even more, just the thanks, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about how it's changed for you. Casting pre-COVID, casting COVID. I want to talk a little bit about, are you having sessions on Zoom and the necessary uh, factor for actors to be really comfortable in their Zoom box, their television box?
Sure. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's completely changed. I'm in Massachusetts now, so I'm not even in LA.
Can I say one thing? Do you know that I'm from
Oh,
Massachusetts?
where?
I'm from Framingham, Massachusetts.
Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm in
Massachusetts,
the Berkshires.
the Berkshires are so
So beautiful.
gorgeous. Gorgeous. Side note, my mother used to sing with the Boston Symphony Tanglewood. Isn't that the
Oh,
Berkshires?
yeah, Tanglewood's right here.
Yeah, that's where I was every summer growing up.
Amazing.
Anyway, who cares? Yes, but go ahead.
So yeah, so I'm working with Shana Sherwood and Nicole Doro, and we're all in different states, spread out all over the country, and casting completely remotely, either on Zoom or EcoCast Live. And it's there are pros and cons, of course, but what it
Mhm.
has done for us is it's enabled us to really reach out and see actors everywhere. And every office is different, but we're seeing more actors than usual because it's self-tape. So we don't have to worry about a schedule and three
Yeah.
actors every 15 minutes. We can just send out 300 appointments for a guest star, and we can see more actors and meet new actors that we didn't know. So it's cool in that respect.
That is cool, but then you're putting more work into sitting and working and watching them. Now, can I ask you a secret for Jeremy Gordon? Do you
Yes.
watch the whole tape all the way through, or do you know right away, even by the first couple lines, if that person is right for the role or in the world that you need that person to be in?
I mean, yes, the answer to both questions is yes, but no, we don't watch all of them all the way through. There are just times when you know in the first sentence they're just wrong
Mhm.
physically, or it's just not going to work, or the accent, or the whatever. We do watch all of the tapes, but we don't watch them
The
all the
way
way
through.
through.
So you
Uh,
just want to grab. So how important would you say to actors is that opening moment?
it's everything. I mean, I tell actors all the time that first line is not a stepping stone to get to the third line.
Yeah.
That first line is everything. And it doesn't mean you have to punch it really hard and overdo it,
Oh,
but you have to set the tone for the entire audition with that first line. And if you leave us wondering if there's going to be more, that's where our head is when you're on line 4 or 5. We're still wondering instead of showing us who
and
you are in that first line.
pulling you into the world right away.
Yeah, especially on Zoom because you have all this time to prepare your tech and learn the tech and nail the tech. I think is so important. And then you get on Zoom and you're home. You didn't have to fight traffic or get lost.
Yeah,
You should be calmer and you
totally.
should just be in it and ready to go.
So do you guys have, well, obviously they're doing self tapes, which is not on Zoom, but are you having
Right.
Zoom callbacks? And
Yes.
okay, so let's explain how that works because there's still the waiting room. I
Yes.
have actors who are testing and get held in that waiting room, and that waiting room is always can be the death, whether you're at home in that waiting room or
Sure.
you're in the waiting room. So
Yeah.
how does it work for you?
So we're doing self-tape pre-reads, and then we're the people that we're interested in. We're asking them all to have a casting director call back before producers, so that we can work out the tech with them and make sure they've got everything framed right, and the sound and the internet, blah blah blah. Uh, but yes, they jump in the waiting room, and just like an in-person waiting room, sometimes we get backed up and you've got to sit there and you don't know who else is there and people may not be talking to you. So I do try to send them messages in the waiting room to let them know how things are going.
Wait,
But they do have to just wait and wait their turn and stay by their computer. And
stay by their computer, but be on mute. But what do you suggest actors do during that time?
I'm a fan, even in the waiting room in person, I'm a fan of you've done the work beforehand. I feel like some actors get themselves really stressed out when they spend that waiting room time learning their lines or going over things. You already know what you're doing. So now, like, read your book, listen to your music, come in and just chill out and get in the right headspace instead of cramming for that, for the high school test that's happening in 5 minutes. It doesn't usually help. So just chill. If you're home in the waiting room, you can be watching TV, or if it's a drama and you need to get in that headspace, I don't know, do what you
Yes.
need to do, but
I think the preparation, I
breathe.
think staying in that preparation, breathing, your
breathe.
preparation of relaxation is everything.
Yeah,
Because the words, oh my God, they're on the paper in front of you if you forget one.
that's right.
And it's never about the words, Jeremy.
That's right. We just want you to come be yourselves. Just, especially
Yes.
on Zoom, just show us who you are. We want to know who you are. That's it.
You want to hang out. You
Yeah.
want to hang out. And don't you feel like actors in those reads, especially how do you decide now? Because when actors came in the room for you, you could see their and feel their personality if they were going to be too much on set because it's about building trust. So
Yep.
you have to make that choice to hire the actor that's going to solve the problems on set, not create more chaos. So how do you choose that on Zoom? How do you know?
I found it's really the same thing. I mean, you can see, especially the actors that are trying extra hard because it's Zoom, so they're trying to give you extra when we don't need that. We just come on, be the normal you. We'll get
Yeah,
to know who you are. But if you're too much on Zoom, you will likely be too much in person as well. So I think it's easy to tell chemistry between two actors during a chemistry read. Also, the same thing. We can tell right off the bat
mhm.
if you're going to gel together, if you're the kind of person that is not just talented but fun and professional, and we
Yeah.
want to send you to set with our producers. We can tell.
I think it's so important for actors to be so accessible
Yeah.
and chill at the same time to fit into every genre. Yes?
Yeah. And it's really just my biggest thing is I want to see who you are. So Shari, if you were auditioning, you being Shari in this role is the most important thing because Rebecca or Jennifer are going to be themselves. And if you're trying super hard to be the character without bringing yourself into it, that's never going to work. So I just want you to be you.
100%. I actually just had a client, she was crying in class because she had that aha moment. She's like, for years, she didn't understand what that meant. And she just the vulnerability, and she was so happy, happy tears, going, I get it. I get it. And of course, her work is transformed
Of
because
course.
actors think if you're just you, then you're not acting, but that's not it. You're combining.
You're combining because you're not a serial killer, but if you were going to read for a serial killer, we still need to see you. And more
Yes.
often than not, you will change the role to an extent because they want to fit the role around the person that they want for the role. And
Yeah,
obviously, you're not a serial killer or a doctor, so they're going to tailor the role to fit you to some extent. And I think that's the best case.
it is because by bringing yourself, no one's going to be you. So it's always going to be different. So I always talk about comedy or isms,
Yeah, especially in comedy.
marketing
Yeah.
secrets, but in everything because I how do you feel about this? Because this just popped through my mind when people are doing their photographs and people ask me about type, I just laugh because I'm like, what do you mean type? Because you're everything.
Yeah, I
Like,
won't answer that question when actors ask me, "What would you cast me as?"
yeah,
That's a non-question. It's whatever you want to
please,
audition
please.
for.
But talk to us on that point because I think people think that they have to look a certain way to be a certain way, but that's bullshit.
No,
Oops.
especially these days, so many people can be so many different kinds of roles. Look, not every actor can do everything. Like maybe you can't do comedy and drama and action and. But it doesn't mean if normally in your day-to-day life dress goth, that doesn't mean you can't be a doctor. Like you could
Yes.
play 100 different kinds of roles.
100 different right. So everybody out there, stop doing that type thing. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's
And
silly.
everybody I talk to says the same thing. And I'm not sure why there's such a stigma that people still teach that. That's confusing to me.
It's
It's
very
about the
confusing.
work.
I don't like, and I also don't like the age. Like, what age do you think I can play? Like,
Ridiculous.
playing 16, older to play younger is different on the CW than it is on Nickelodeon than it is in the indie world. So I don't know.
Doesn't matter. It's just what the writer says about the
Right.
age thing right there. What does it matter? The work. Always going to go back to the work. And you know what, Jeremy? You come from theater, so you get it. You
Get it.
get that it's about the work. You
It's
get
about
that
the
it's
work.
about that storytelling. Make it your own 1000%. And then you guys decide. But actors can walk in. I remember when I was an actress years ago, I would come in for, and I'd be so insulted because they were asking me to come in for something that was so much older in my head. But then I was just me and I get the part. It didn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
I've tested females for male roles and vice versa, or I've
Yes.
tested a larger actor for the
Yes.
role that's written for the skinny guy with skinny jokes, or vice versa. It's like,
Yes.
if you're the right person and you did the work, then we'll change it up for you.
I think it's so exciting. And I love when they change the role, the gender of the role. It's always so good.
Especially these days. I think we've been doing a lot for Nickelodeon, and the breakdowns say, whatever, Owen can play female. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
say female anymore.
Yeah.
It's who's ever right. It could be trans, it could be non-binary, it can be fill in
It's
the
so,
blank. It doesn't matter.
it's incredible. Whoever
Oh,
does the best job. That's so
yep.
incredible. And I think it's the actor's job to change your mind,
Yeah,
right?
that's the best.
Change
And you
your
have
mind.
something in your head and they change your mind, like, oh, it could be like that, or the joke could be that. It's great.
Yeah, I never saw it that way before.
Yeah.
Whoa, I love it in classes when people, I go, wow, I never saw it that way. Score, book that
Score.
role, book that role, book that role. Um, so we talked a little bit about Zoom. So what is it about the self tape that is so important to you? Besides, I mean, like, if the work was so good and the lighting was terrible, would they still get the call back because the work was there?
Yeah.
So what resonates with you and your office? And then I want to talk about your new partners that you're starting your whole company
Yes.
with, which is cool.
It is definitely about the work. Look, on for a self-tape, you do have a responsibility to do the work ahead of time, and not just preparation for the role, but it's your tech, it's your lighting, it's your sound, it's your framing, it's your background, it's your internet connection. You should make sure that
Hmm.
it's as good as you could possibly do. But yet still tapes come in and things are off, and if you're right and you look great and we see something and we want more, we're totally calling you back and we'll help you with the tech before we get to producers.
Yes.
So it's really important learning Zoom, learning Ecast Live, learning tech. Like, I just don't think people can say I'm not a tech person, tech scares me. Like that, those days are done. This
Way,
is
way
our
done.
life for the next year, two, three, whatever it is. So you've got to learn and embrace the tech. Will help you, but we only have so much time.
Yes. But don't make excuses, people, when they say that. When you say something scares you, it just makes me go, what?
Yeah, that drives me crazy.
I'm
Learn it,
into
live it,
action
love it.
forward. Action forward always.
That's right.
Always, always, always. Um, so how do you feel about behavior? Because people always ask me, should I move? Should I not move? So here's what I teach at my studio: a three-dimensional life of the character, that you have to have a behavioral life, environmental life, and emotional life. I say, I don't care if you fall out of frame and come back, as long as you're living in that. Does it bug you when people move too much? Because I want people to kind of understand each office that I bring on. So when they have a little knowledge is power when they come in for you. So
It
everyone has
doesn't
their thing.
bug me if they move. I guess what reads
Subtle.
difficult for me are two things. So first, if you turn away from camera, like if you're pointing to the map is not back here, the map is over here. So stay forward. Even this,
Yeah.
turning too much. If you want to look to the side, looking is different than turning. So always think of your frame. And in that sense, I think if you're going to fall out of frame or use your sides or whatever it is, think about it from the viewer's perspective
Hmm.
because it's on camera. So all movements are exacerbated because it's on Zoom. So if you're holding your sides and it's moving a lot, that's super distracting. And then my face when I'm watching is to your sides and not on your face. So just to be weary of how movements can be distracting. And if you are falling too far out of frame, or this is a running joke in the scene and you keep doing this, so that's just distracting. But
Yes. So you have to figure out what makes it work.
yeah,
Figure it out.
but we don't need you to be a statue. You're a human. You can move. That's
Like
right.
this. No,
You can
that's way
if
too
you
much
want to.
human. Tell us about this new partnership.
So I started working about a year ago with Nicole Doro and Shayna Sherwood
Mhm.
as an associate. I've known them for years and just was one of those things. I needed someone. I needed some insurance hours, so I jumped on this project. And we've done a few projects now together, and we love working together. So
Amazing.
it's been Doro Sherwood casting, and it still is. And we are transforming it sometime in 2021 to Doro Sherwood Gordon casting, which will be so much fun.
That's going to be so amazing. So what is it about this when you're working with people? Is it just fun that you guys just bond and you guys get that you have the same taste, or do you have different tastes that makes it exciting, or what is it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely both. I mean, we have overall the same taste or the same work patterns, but I mean, we certainly differ in, I like that person, I don't like that person, which I think is great. But we just
Yeah.
from day one, it just worked. The working together worked. It was so easy, and it felt like we had been doing this for years already, and we enjoy each other's company, and uh, the personalities mesh, and it was just like, well, why shouldn't we do this? If
Yeah.
owner Dawson
Are you
Kritzer,
guys?
whatever their big company is doing it, we can do it.
Yes, anybody could do it. What are you guys working on right now? A project together, or are you working on something by yourself right at this moment?
We just finished a pilot called Warped for Nickelodeon,
Wonderful.
and we just started season one of another Nickelodeon show called Drama Club, which we had started the pilot before COVID, and now it
Oh,
got picked up. So we're doing season one of this show, which is so much fun.
oh, wait. So let's just talk about that for a second. So you started the pilot, you cast the pilot, or you didn't finish casting?
Wasn't finished.
So what happened? So then COVID, and so now
So
did
then COVID, and we got shut down. I think it was like week 8 out of 10.
yeah.
But we still had one of the regulars to cast and a bunch of other roles. And
Oh,
then
so
nothing
hard.
like
Oh,
nothing. And they brought us back on a few weeks ago to pick up where we left off. And we found our last series
that's amazing.
regular.
That's amazing that you were
It's
lucky
amazing.
enough to have that come back.
Yes, we are. I mean, thankfully, Nickelodeon, as big as they are, is a small family. And
Mm.
they love us, and thankfully, and we all work really well together. And I'm sure there'll be other stuff with them come January. But it's so much fun. And I used to think, oh, I don't know if I would be into casting those Nickelodeon shows, but it's fun, and these kids are awesome. I love
Oh
it.
my gosh. I mean, these young actors out there, they are so much fun to work with because they're so open and malleable.
Oh, I
And
love kids. I love casting kids. That is always great. But I just thought, I had that stereotype of Nickelodeon and Disney, but then
it's
doing
not,
it and seeing it's hard. This is actually super hard, especially for kids.
yeah, but I don't think it's like schmacky anymore. It's
No,
it's changed. And
it's
let's
changed.
stress that to the audience because when you get a Nickelodeon, you don't have to yell and show me the joke, right?
Especially now, like our show Drama Club is like The Office. It's shot mockumentary style.
Oh, love it.
So it's definitely different, and you definitely need to do your homework and research. And it's not just that general Nickelodeon schmacting thing. Is now they want some more realistic and grounded
I
stuff.
think that
Right?
I think we want the truth in the multicam as well. I
Oh
see
yeah,
when the kids we coach here book, and it's based in truth. Don't you agree? The truth wins
yes,
out no matter what.
that's right. Even multicam
100%.
has to be grounded. It has to feel genuine.
Totally. So in your office now with the other two people you work with, what take this scenario. So you really like this one person for the role and they really like another. How and then you can only bring back one of them. How what is it, rock, paper, scissors? What happened?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, in this last project we did, uh, there was one kid Shayna really, really liked, and Nicole and I were like, no, we're not on that board. We think you're too old, but Shayna was like, no, I'm adamant. I'm putting it in there. I don't think we've had the situation where we only had room for one more and we were in that position. But really, at the end of the day, if somebody really wants it, put him in.
Go
We
for it.
could be wrong, and we were wrong. He was cast, so
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. And that's so interesting too for actors because actors stress out so much about whether they got the callback or the job. And I resonate the message of do the process, do the job, tell your story next because it's so subjective.
Yes.
Because that person that you didn't really respond to, the other person did, ends up it went to that person in favor. But there's so many times that you can give the best read and not hear a thing.
Oh,
But
a
it goes
hundred
in your
percent.
mind.
100%. And also, that the book The Room, Not the Job is so true. If you do your work and we dig it, we will think about you and bring you back forever. In fact, one of the kids that we cast in Drama Club, he was sort of the last to read before we got shut down for COVID, but we had already tested and we were like, oh, well, damn, he's not going to be in it. Then cut to all these months later, we get picked up and he's the guy. So
Guy. How does a test run work on Zoom now? Does the networks just pop in? Do they have their cameras off? Do they show their face, or is it just
well,
what
our
happens?
experience so far is yes, the network comes on, everyone comes on. Most people have their cameras off. Some of them want to say hello, especially if they know the actor.
Mm,
but at the end, it's just the actor on screen with the reader. Sometimes even the reader's camera is off because if you record Zoom with two people, you'll see them both. And that's just it. Everyone's just watching, and it's kind of, I guess it's harder from this point of view because it's not only is it quiet, but you can't see anyone's faces, so you really can't read the room as the actor. You just have to have confidence in what you're doing
Well,
and go in
I,
and do it.
I think that's kind of silver lining for actors. So you can't really get nervous.
Sure, sure, could
You
be.
know, I think it's such a silver lining, Zoom and doing self tapes on so many levels because
As long as you're in the mindset that you're not only funny if they laugh, because you're not going to hear anybody laughing, their
yeah,
mics are off. So
yeah,
you just have to know that you're funny or whatever, that you've nailed the moment and have confidence in it and just keep going.
1,000%, 1,000%. So, what's some things you'd like to inspire actors out here to be doing during this time? You know, COVID is such a huge thing that's happened to the world, but we never stopped because we're malleable and we never stopped because we already had online classes. I don't think actors should stop. There's a lot of production going on.
Stopping, no stopping. And
Stopping.
you can do for yourself, whether it's classes or how many people are doing, they have groups where they're doing readings of scripts, Zoom readings.
Yeah.
Just do something, get involved. The beginning of quarantine back in March, I cast and produced an IG show called Quarantine.
Oh,
We had
yes. I wanted
25
to talk about it.
episodes that I did
Yeah.
with
Well,
Spencer Garrett. And
stop. Spencer's coming on the podcast the end of
oh,
the week. Next
amazing.
week.
He's my producing partner. He's amazing.
He is amazing. He's the mayor of Hollywood. Do you know I call him that?
Yeah, because he knows everybody.
Tell us about
Everybody.
this. What is this show? What is it?
So it's the show is about a fake soap opera called Chino Hills. And it is literally about these soap opera actors who are out of work because of COVID,
Hilarious.
and they're living out their lives on Zoom. And so it's about their relationships with each other. And we did 25 full episodes that are all aired on IG.
Wait, how do we watch that? Oh, just go to your page? How do we
I will
watch?
send. I can send you a link. So it's called Quarantine, but the link on Instagram, I have to look it up. It's like Quarantine the Show or something to that effect. I'll send it to you.
Yes.
There's all sorts of. There's 10 series regulars, but celebrity guest stars every week. It was so much fun.
Okay, so and you filmed it all on Zoom?
All on Zoom. No one ever left their homes. In fact, I didn't even meet half of the casting crew. I don't even know. I met the director once when he drove by to say hello, but we didn't know each other.
Oh, this
It
is
was all
amazing.
on Zoom, totally safe. Everyone was home, and we had sound and Zoom people recording. It was
Wait, so did
pretty
you have
awesome.
each person go to their home or people were just doing their own Zoom?
No, we recorded them on their own Zoom, so all the actors didn't have to record anything. They just, you know, did hair, makeup, wardrobe, and
Oh my
acted, and we
That's
took
so
care of the
funny.
rest.
And so how did they establish their world that they lived in? Did they just do it in their own bedroom or their own kitchen and
It
just make
changed depending on the episode.
Mhm.
So that was definitely work that we did, the crew did, and the director, Jerry Yang, did ahead of time with each actor. Time of day, we had actors all over the country, so timing and daylight was a thing. Uh,
This sounds amazing. How come I haven't heard about this? I
I
need
don't
to spread
know.
the word. I'm spreading the word about this.
Spread the word. I'll send you the link.
And how long are each episode?
6 to 9 minutes.
That's fantastic.
And we donated 100% of the money to the to SAG After Foundation.
That's incredible.
It was
That
really
is
great.
incredible.
So I bring that up because actors can be doing this also to create work and be creative. It doesn't have to be a 25 episode show, but there's so much that you can do online and not wait for that audition to come in.
There's so much on Instagram, on YouTube, on all of it. Create those characters,
That's
get
why not.
activated. Yeah, it's have you ever found somebody just scrolling through an Instagram and go, whoa, that person's interesting? Do
Oh
they
yeah.
ever? Yeah.
We found people all over social media, or my favorite is when you watch somebody's demo reel and you're interested in the other person who's in the scene with them. Who's that? How do we find that person?
And how do you find that person? How do you do that?
It's a little tricky. You can't really call the actor, but you just try to look up the show or the short film
Oh,
or
yes.
whatever it is and try to find them that way.
That is crazy. So
Sure.
what are you doing in the Berkshires now? You're living there for COVID or you're coming
Yeah,
back or this
yeah,
is where
during
you're at now?
COVID, we're casting, and I've been teaching some classes here or there, and skiing. I can't wait to. I'm going skiing tomorrow.
Are you really? Are you a
Yes.
good skier?
I've been skiing since I was 2, so I'm really excited.
I'm such a bad skier. I try. I try.
It's the
It's an
best. Snow
incredible
is my favorite thing. Snow and cheese.
snow and cheese.
Snow and
You're the
cheese.
funniest. That is the funniest thing I ever heard. That is incredible. Okay, you have been so insightful. And it's just, I know people are going to love listening to this.
Oh, that's
Before
awesome.
we close out,
Yeah.
I want you to say three inspiring things
Ooh, okay.
about life and to close out 2020.
Three inspiring things. Okay. So self-care is super important. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself. It's not always about working or the business or going to acting class. You have to do self-care and do things just that you like to do just because you like to do them, whether that's binging Netflix or reading a book or knitting or skiing,
Yeah.
or nibbling on a block of cheese. I don't know. Do things that for you. It can't always be about everybody else. Sometimes it's got to be about you.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think getting involved with other things outside the industry, whether it's helping Georgia with the elections
Yes.
or volunteering somewhere, harder to do now during COVID, but I think it's important to be involved with your community.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have learned the hard way, because I like to vent and bitch and moan and complain on social media, but I stopped,
Yes.
and I've just transformed my Facebook and everything into just positive and pictures, and there's enough negativity out there, so I think it's good for us all to throw the positivity out there.
And my book is called The Positive Path for Actors.
I love
And
it.
you can still be a positive person and have deep feelings.
Totally.
So, and it's so important universally, like into the universe, your attitude matters and it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be a negative person. You want to be in this world to inspire people and help lift them up.
It's so needed right now, and I got sucked into all of that with the Trump of it all, and I just it's time for us all to be positive, and not just because Biden won, but it's just important for us all to keep our
No,
spirits up, and
no
our
matter
mental
what would
health
have
affects our
happened.
body. Yeah,
Yeah, no matter what would have happened, you have to have that spirit. So
100%.
I wish you a ton of success in
Thank
2021.
you. You as
Have an
well.
incredible holiday. Thank you so much.
My
It has
pleasure.
been a joy having you guys. Watch, what's it called on Netflix? What's your show?
On Netflix, the movie is called Rust Creek, and
Yes,
Instagram, the show is called Quarantine.
Quarantine on Instagram. Okay. Thank you so much. Guys, stay courteously aggressive. Go after your dreams. Don't ever stop and have an amazing 2021.
And wear a mask.
And wear your mask. Jeremy, thank you so much. So
Thanks,
great hanging
Shari.
with you. So great.
My
Loved it.
pleasure. Have a great holiday.
You too.
Lots of
Bye.
love.
Mwah. Kisses.
Bye.
Bye.